This is Paula Williams, and this is our last Marketing Monday before Christmas. So you may have noticed in this week's podcast, John and I talk again about planning a whole year of marketing and putting together a marketing calendar for 2017. And you may be wondering, why am I wearing a cowboy hat? We'll get to that, I promise. But first of all, I wanted to share with you something that I have struggled with in the past and something that I currently still struggle with occasionally. But it's something that's kind of a mindset that changed the way that I do planning, and it really made a big difference for me and should make a big difference for you as well. So today, basically, we're going to talk about how we're going to use this particular mindset in our planning for 2017 to make it even more successful as far as reaching your sales and marketing goals. So, the problem that I had and that a lot of people have is that I grew up being frugal, and there is not a darn thing in the world wrong with being frugal. But I will tell you this, cheap, disposable things are often a false economy, right? And I'll tell you why. John and I went hat shopping last weekend, and we have this event coming up in August, and of course, we do a lot of things outdoors and so on. And this is actually John's cowboy hat. But I have had several in the past, and they've all been kind of cheap straw cowboy hats. And John has a really nice one. This is a Stetson. They have X's to show you how high the quality is on some of these cowboy hats and things like that. And I've always thought that buying too expensive of a cowboy hat was not something I wanted to do, because I have this tendency to have them blow off and then I end up galloping after them and so on. But the reason for that is because I was wearing cheap, horrible cowboy hats, the straw ones that you buy in the gift shop and things like that, just to keep the sun off, because I was looking for something, just for the moment. We were at Yellowstone a few years ago with our family and decided to go horseback riding, and so we ended up buying some cheap cowboy hats. But we're not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to do that anymore. There's a place called A.A. Callister in Salt Lake City that sells really good custom Stetson cowboy hats. So I'm going to get a really good Stetson cowboy hat. And if you come with us to Sundance, you'll see that there. Another thing, this is a grown-up pen. This is a cross pen. It's a fountain pen. If you've ever gotten a note or a Christmas card or anything else from me, it was written with this pen. Now, of course, you can always buy a pen for 69 cents, one of these plastic numbers. They give them away for free. In fact, this is one that we probably got at NBAA last year. But why would you spend money on something? And the reason is because it is a real pleasure to work with. And if it's something that you use all the time and something that you use every day, it is worth getting something good. My computer, which I can't show you because I'm talking to it right now, has a solid state drive and a grundle of memory and, all kinds of things. And it is not the bottom of the line laptop. Whenever John and I buy computers, we always end up spending a whole lot more money than the baseline. Because it is something that we use every day, it is something that we're going to be frustrated by if we end up buying something cheap. So, a couple of things about marketing that fall into that same category. Actually, three things. First thing is you want to invest in evergreen content, right? There are some articles that we wrote in 2006 or even before that are still getting traffic on our website. So, you really want to make sure that some of the things that you're building, you're not doing it once, you're doing it to last, building things to last a long time. So some of those evergreen content, topics would be things like how to structure your sales process. That's not going to change over time. The tools that you use, how you use LinkedIn to make sales, that might change. But, the general process and the general principles behind your line of work is not going to change. So that's something you could write some good evergreen content about. And make sure that a lot of the stuff that you're doing is stuff that's going to last. Another thing is to build sales materials that you can use over and over again. We have gotten several of these envelopes in the mail. Actually, they're delivered express. They'd ring the doorbell and hand it to you. This is a UPS letter, and we get them from our bank offering terms on refinancing our house. And of course, we're not going to take them up on that, but it's obviously a lot of people do, because they're spending a lot of money on postage, and it's always the same letter. So obviously they have a letter that they know has a good conversion rate. They trot out the same letter, probably quarterly, and send this out to a specific list of customers. Now you could have a great sales letter that you could pull out once a quarter or once a year and just change some of the details and send it out again. And each time you use it, you're going to get better because you will see what is the response to this? And if it's a good response, then you might as well keep doing it, right? So invest in sales materials like those sales letters that you can use over and over and over again. Third thing is you want to build campaigns that you can use over and over again. So if you're using Infusionsoft, or if you're using Constant Contact, or any of those things, you can save emails and save templates. And so if you have a series of 6 or 10 emails that you send to a new customer, with the tip of the week, helping them through the process of onboarding, asking them for referrals, asking them for testimonials, getting them to fill out your surveys, things like that. Keep reusing those, or if you have a great campaign that works around Valentine's Day, use that thing every single year. So how this ties together. When you're planning your marketing for 2017, I want you to think in terms of cheap disposable things are often a false economy. So you want to invest in these things, build them to last, build them with some quality to them. Get some professional writing, get some professional design, use these things over and over and over again. And, a lot of times that will give you a lot better value over time than buying cheap disposable things to just meet the need at the moment. So for 2017, don't just think about 2017. Think about the next 10 years. What things are you going to be doing over and over and over again? How can you make not just this trade show, but the next 5 trade shows 1,000 times easier? What can you do to make not just this campaign, but the next several campaigns better? And, so think in terms of continuous improvement, think in terms of quality, think in terms of building things to last. Thanks. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you. Actually, we won't see you next week. It'll be Christmas, but we'll see you the week after that. Have a great holiday.